Sometimes what you see is not a coincidence. It is a reminder. If you are watching this, know that Allah has chosen to place these words in front of your eyes, not by chance but by His divine wisdom. Allah says, "And He provides for him from where he does not expect. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish His purpose. Allah has already set for everything a decreed extent." Surah At-Talaq 65:3. Ask yourself, have you truly placed your trust in Allah? Or do you still carry burdens that He has already promised to take care of? Patience is perhaps the heaviest companion of faith, a virtue praised by the tongue but tested in the silence of nights and the weight of waiting. Every believer knows that moment when the heart cries for relief, when prayers rise again and again, yet the world seems unmoved, and in that silence faith is measured not by how loudly we ask, but by how long we are willing to endure. Think of Prophet Ayub, a man whose wealth, family, and health were stripped away one by one, leaving him on the bare ground, his skin covered in pain, his body weakened, his companions gone, yet his heart alive with remembrance. He did not scream against his Lord, nor complain of injustice, but in the darkest hours whispered with humility, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Al-Anbiya 21:83. A prayer so soft yet so powerful that Allah Himself answered and restored his health, his family, and his blessings, multiplying them as a sign that patience never perishes. And here lies the mystery. Why does Allah make us wait? Why not answer immediately? Because waiting is not a punishment, it is a purification, a furnace in which sincerity is separated from despair, where the soul learns that faith is not in the speed of relief, but in the certainty that relief will come. Consider how the Quran repeats with insistence, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease." Ash-Shar 94:5-6, not once but twice, so the believer understands that ease is not an accident after hardship, but its twin, already paired with it, waiting for the right moment to be unveiled. And yet, when we suffer, time itself becomes an enemy. Minutes feel like hours, days feel like years, and the whisper of Shaitan comes, "Where is your Lord now? Has He abandoned you?" But those who endure reply, "My Lord is near and He hears me," as Allah affirms, "When my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the call of the supplicant when he calls upon me." Al-Baqarah 2:186. So the question turns inward. Are we ready to wait with the patience of Ayub, knowing that the answer is already written, though unseen? Imagine for a moment that Allah promised you relief within 48 hours. How would you live these 2 days? Would you walk with lightness, smiling, knowing the blessing was on its way? Would you pray with joy because you are certain of His promise? Yet is this not the essence of faith? To believe without seeing, to live as if the relief is already descending? The test of waiting is not about the passage of time, but about the posture of the heart. One believer waits with bitterness, counting every second, demanding relief, while another waits with surrender, saying, "O Allah, whenever you will, however you will, I am content." And the difference between them is the difference between despair and peace. Think of Joseph, abandoned in the well by his brothers, sold as a slave, imprisoned for years for a crime he did not commit. Each stage of waiting could have broken him, but instead he remained steadfast, and in the end Allah raised him to power, making him a leader who saved nations from famine, proving that the years of waiting were not wasted but preparation for greatness. And so too with us. When Allah delays, He is not forgetting. He is crafting a story, shaping a destiny. polishing a soul until it is ready to receive what would have destroyed it if given too soon. Your hardship today may be the very bridge to your blessing tomorrow. So I ask you, as you hear these words, if Allah promised that in 48 hours your relief would arrive, would your faith remain steady until the last moment, or would you collapse on the 47th hour, thinking He had forgotten you? And if you collapse, did you not miss the entire test? For the test is not in the relief, but in the waiting, in the unseen, in the nights when the answer has not yet come. So tonight, as your heart longs for change, remember Ayyub's whisper, Yusuf's prison, Ibrahim's fire, and the Prophet's years in Mecca under oppression before victory. Remember that waiting with faith is itself worship, and the angels record not only your prayers but your patience. For in patience lies the fragrance of true submission, and when at last relief arrives, it will be sweeter than honey, because it was purchased not by your impatience, but by your steadfast trust in the Lord of all worlds. Imagine a man standing alone in a world that has turned against him, a man whose only crime was obedience to the one true God, whose enemies sought to erase his existence, to silence the truth he carried in his heart, and yet, in the face of impossible odds, he walked with unwavering conviction, every step a declaration that no force on earth could outweigh the command of Allah. This man was Prophet Ibrahim, and the fire of the tyrants roared around him, a furnace meant to destroy, meant to break the flesh and terrorize the spirit. Yet, he did not falter, he did not flinch, for his heart was anchored in divine trust, a trust so profound that the flames themselves were commanded to bow to Allah's will. And Allah said, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Abraham." Al-Anbiya 21:69, transforming the impossible into the miraculous, turning what should have been agony into sanctuary, a testament to the reality that faith is not measured by comfort, but by courage in the face of annihilation. Now consider the fire you face in your own life, the fear that keeps you awake at night, the trials that scorch your spirit, the circumstances that seem unyielding, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the debt, the illness, the doubt. What is the furnace you are staring into today? And can you step forward with Ibrahim's resolve, knowing that submission to Allah has the power to render even the fiercest trial harmless? That the moment you surrender with certainty, the fire changes from enemy to shield, that your fear is not a prophecy but a shadow of what can be overcome if only you place your trust entirely in Him. And yet, trust is not simple. It is not a feeling that comes and goes with comfort. It is a deliberate act of the soul, a decision that each heartbeat must affirm, a quiet defiance of despair that says, "I do not fear what you control, O Allah." Even when the ground shakes beneath you, even when friends abandon you, even when the world mocks your stance. For faith is the seed planted in the soil of trial, watered by patience and nourished by reliance upon the Most High. And when the seed is ready, miracles bloom where impossibilities once lived. Ibrahim's fire was not just literal, it was symbolic. A furnace that represents every moment in life when standing by truth, and submission requires bravery beyond the ordinary, and his story whispers to every soul that fears the unknown, reminding us that nothing, absolutely nothing, can harm the one whom Allah protects, that every hardship can be transformed into ease, every threat into a lesson, and every fear into a revelation, that the universe itself bends to the will of the Almighty when a believer steps forward with certainty, and the courage to enter the fire becomes itself a bridge to unimaginable blessings. So reflect now. What would it take for you to step into your fire? What chains of doubt must you break? What comfort zones must you leave behind? The test is not in the flames themselves, but in the surrender of the heart, in the leap of trust that defies logic, in the knowing that the impossible becomes possible when Allah wills it, in the quiet assurance that He who commands the fire to be safe can command every storm in your life to be calm, and that stepping forward, even trembling, is already the beginning of your salvation. For centuries, believers have recounted Ibrahim's trial not merely as history, but as a living mirror, asking each of us to confront our own fires, to hear the roar of adversity and answer with a whisper of unwavering faith, to understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to walk forward with it, and that Allah's protection does not depend on the strength of your limbs, but on the sincerity of your submission. And so, as you ponder your own trials today, ask yourself, will you step into the fire with trust? Will you follow the path of absolute reliance on Allah? Or will hesitation and doubt hold you back? When the power of the Most Merciful is more than enough to turn your fear into safety, your trial into triumph, and your darkness into light, there is a quiet magic in the pause between despair and relief. A sacred space where the soul learns to breathe through the weight of the unseen, where every heartbeat becomes a meditation and every breath a testament to trust. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Know that victory comes with patience, relief with affliction, and ease with hardship." Tirmidhi. And in these words lies a universe of wisdom, for life is not a chaotic scattering of events, but a precise, deliberate orchestration in which every hardship is measured and every trial has a hidden mercy, invisible to the eyes but perceptible to the heart that is attuned to the rhythm of the divine. Imagine for a moment that your current struggle, the sleepless nights, the anxious thoughts, the disappointments that weigh upon your spirit, are not punishments but carefully placed steps designed to bring you closer to something greater, a relief that has already been decreed but awaits the perfect moment of unveiling. And consider how many times Allah has answered your prayers in ways you could not see at the time, how He turned a loss into a door, a betrayal into a lesson, a delay into preparation, shaping your heart and refining your soul so that when the blessing finally arrives, you are ready to receive it with gratitude rather than fear. Every prophet and every believer before you has faced the threshold of uncertainty, where hope seems fragile and the mind whispers doubt. Yet those who endure quietly, who hold on to trust like a lifeline, discover that signs of relief are all around them, subtle nudges in the flow of life, a word, a gesture, a moment that hints at the mercy to come. And if only we pay attention, these signs are confirmations that the unseen is not empty, that our prayers have not gone unheard, that Allah's promise is as close as our next breath. What if the blessing you have been longing for, the answer to your prayer, the resolution to your pain, is already traveling towards you, moving through channels invisible and miraculous? And all that is required of you is to hold on just a little longer, to resist the temptation of despair, to cultivate patience so profound that it becomes a shield against the fear of waiting, a sanctuary in which your heart can rest even before the relief manifests. History is rich with examples of this divine timing. Musa, Moses, and the children of Israel trapped between the sea and Pharaoh's army, yet a path opened when they could no longer move forward on their own. Yunus, Jonah, swallowed by the depths of the sea, yet prayer and trust turned the darkness into a vessel of salvation. And in every era, the ordinary believer who perseveres in faith experiences this same miracle, the transformation of struggle into triumph, of despair into hope, of hardship into a testament of mercy, proving that no difficulty is ever wasted when it is met with patience and trust. The mind often rebels against the delay, counting hours, weighing evidence, fearing the unknown. Yet the heart knows that Allah's timing is perfect, that every moment of waiting is an opportunity to refine the soul, to purify intentions, to prepare for the blessing that is already on its way. And so I ask you now, in the stillness of your heart, to consider your own trials. What are the subtle signs around you, the whispers of mercy you may have overlooked, the moments of hope that have appeared disguised as coincidence? And what if these were reminders that relief is near, that your prayer is moving towards you, that all you need is to endure a little longer with unwavering faith? Imagine the transformation that occurs when you begin to see hardship not as an obstacle but as a bridge. Every difficulty a step that brings you closer to your intended destination. Every tear watering the garden of blessings yet to come, and every sigh an acknowledgement that life's design is perfect even when our understanding is incomplete. The promise of relief is not abstract. It is lived in the quiet confidence that Allah is arranging everything in your favor, that the solution is already en route, and that the struggle itself is a sacred instrument shaping your character, your gratitude, and your connection with the divine. So when the weight of the world presses upon your shoulders and impatience whispers in your ears, remember that ease is already paired with hardship, that mercy accompanies every trial, and that the blessing you have been waiting for may be closer than you dare imagine, requiring only that you hold steadfast, that you breathe patience into every moment, and that your heart remain receptive to the subtle, miraculous unfolding of Allah's will. For in this sacred pause between prayer and answer, between longing and fulfillment, the soul discovers its deepest strength, and the believer learns that true relief is not merely in the arrival of ease, but in the serene acceptance of Allah's perfect timing, the quiet trust that the unseen is already working for you, and that every hardship carries within it the seed of relief, already growing toward you, ready to bloom in the fullness of its appointed hour. Imagine the clock ticking, the hours slipping like sand through your fingers, and yet in the unseen world, forces beyond comprehension are already moving, aligning and orchestrating events according to the perfect will of Allah. Within less than 48 hours, a transformation can occur that would have seemed impossible yesterday, a miracle hidden in plain sight, a door thought sealed shut that swings open effortlessly, a burden that felt immovable suddenly lifted, all not because of human effort or clever planning, but purely through the mercy and wisdom of the Most High, reminding us that time in Allah's hands is not linear, but fluid, and that the closer we are to surrender and patience, the nearer we are to witnessing the impossible manifest. Now picture yourself in your current trial, whatever it may be: the debt, the illness, the heartbreak, the fear of loss, the anxiety over uncertainty. Imagine that Allah, in His infinite mercy, has already begun to shift things behind the veil, turning tides, opening doors, creating opportunities invisible to your eyes, preparing events that will make the impossible ordinary, the closed open, and the heavy light. Can you feel the intensity of possibility pulsing through the next 48 hours? Not as a vague hope, but as a tangible spiritual reality, one that demands both vigilance and faith. One that invites you to align your actions, thoughts, and intentions with the certainty that the unseen is already working for your benefit. And yet, the challenge lies in perception. How often do we see difficulty and forget that relief is already prepared? How often do we underestimate Allah's ability to intervene suddenly, measuring the divine by our finite experience, limiting what He can do because our mind cannot imagine it, when in fact, history and scripture overflow with examples of instantaneous mercy, instantaneous justice, instantaneous transformation, from the rescue of the oppressed to the elevation of the humble, each moment proving that no matter the depth of despair, no matter the weight of expectation, Allah's will can manifest in a blink, changing the course of a life, a family, a nation, or a heart, all in less than 2 days. So the question is personal, direct, unavoidable. Do you believe that Allah can change your situation before the sun rises twice, that the seemingly impossible can be undone? that relief, joy, and transformation are closer than your own doubt allows you to see? Or do you limit his power with hesitation, allowing fear to silence the whisper of faith and the promptings of hope, forgetting that true submission requires both awareness and readiness, a posture of expectation that does not rely on certainty but trusts in the perfect orchestration of the unseen, in the divine timing that has already been written. And as you sit with this thought, let it awaken your heart, quicken your soul, stir your actions, and ignite your belief that miracles are not distant. They are immediate, palpable, and often closer than 48 hours, and that your role is to step forward with courage, maintain patience, and recognize the subtle signs of mercy that weave the unseen into your reality. For in these moments, your faith is both tested and elevated, your hope both refined and rewarded, and your life, if only you choose to believe, is on the cusp of the impossible becoming undeniable, a transformation that begins the instant you surrender completely to the mercy, power, and timing of Allah, ready to witness doors opening, burdens lifted, and your world reshaped in ways that only He can orchestrate. If you are seeing this, take it as a reminder. Allah hears you, sees you, and has not abandoned you. Trust Him, for His timing is perfect. And when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:186. So tonight, lift your hands and ask, are you ready to let go, to trust, to believe that within 48 hours Allah can do what you never imagined possible? Before you go, make sure you have done subscribe. Thank you very much.